Hello, my name is Kirioth, and today we are going to talk about this lad, the Defiler. So I've once again been musing, thinking about the idea of maybe bringing my Iron Warriors army back from 3rd edition, which I would unfortunately have to start pretty much from scratch. I've got the Demon Prince, that's fine, it's just the rest of it that I'd need, unfortunately, and funnily enough, the rest of it is most of the important and expensive stuff. This lad, the Defiler, being £45. Which is a lot for a model as old as this, especially when it looks the way that it does. See, I used to love the Defiler, but it is definitely not aged all that well. And this is definitely something that I would need to kit bash and convert, because this doesn't fit anywhere in the Chaos lineup anymore. It's a weird situation where this particular Demon engine just doesn't match anything else that Chaos uses. I used to think, well, it's okay that it doesn't match like the Rhino or the Land Raider or the Vindicator, as that you could take if you were Iron Warriors, because it's a Demon engine. It's not supposed to look anything like that. It's supposed to be its own thing, this weird crab-like thing with a giant battle cannon sticking out of its torso. Great, brilliant. And I had 2 of them, because it had a battle cannon sticking out of the torso, and every single variation of that army I ran had 2 Defilers and a Basilisk, because the Iron Warriors could have a Basilisk back in the day. That filled out 3 of my 4 heavy support slots at the time, because I love the idea of shelling the enemy from range, whilst a bunch of Terminators and a Demon Prince made their way up the board to annihilate everything in close combat. That's just how I like to do it. Was it successful 100% of the time? No. In fact, the ratio of success was really quite low, but it was a lot of fun. The thing is, the Defiler is aged really badly, primarily because the way that it was designed has just been completely abandoned in the context of every other Demon engine, or things sort of in that kind of realm. I mean, if we look at, for instance, the Hellbrute. The Hellbrute is effectively an extremely messed up Chaos Dreadnought, and it's got skin and muscle and sinew, and there's like actual organic fluid dripping from it, and it's growing into and over itself, and it is creepy and nightmarish, and not really anything like the Defiler. You can kind of see where I'm going with this, can't you? You can see where this is headed straight away. We have things like the Helldrake. Admittedly, there's less in the way of skin and sinew and that sort of thing. Why is that preview so small? I do not know. But there is definitely more of an organic slant to this, even if it is primarily mechanical. The design, at least, is more overtly, hey look, it's a dragon. Which, let's face it, that's pretty much what they were going for. Even things like the tail looks like a spinal column, a really messed up sort of spinal column / tail. Like, they've deliberately gone for more of an organic look to this thing, and there's also far more intricate details going on in terms of like the wings and stuff, which again means that it kind of in no way matches this. And it's only gotten worse, because things like the Mauler Fiend exist, where once again we've got skin, muscle, sinew, and this looks like something completely different stylistically to this. This is more rounded. In fact, this is an issue with all of like the kind of, I was going to say current gen Demon engines, but let's face it, they've all been released over the span of years and years, so that's probably not the right phrase to use. But they are all they're more rounded, they are more organic, they have more decoration and more complexity in terms of armour panels and the like than this does, which makes this stand out like a sore thumb. Previously, it stood out next to Rhinos and Land Raiders, because they were big boxes on tracks, and they walked alongside what were effectively boxes on legs. And then you had this thing, which it's kind of a box on lots of legs, but the silhouette was very, very different, and the overall makeup looked very, very different to what you were used to. These things, and these are just the older ones by this point, don't follow any of the same design ideas, and the Defiler doesn't really follow any of the design ideas from the vehicles that it was already walking alongside, and I include the old Chaos Dreadnought in that as well. Then we get to things like this lad, so you got the Venom Crawler as well. Now, the Venom Crawler looks like what you would expect the Defiler to look like. I mean, this thing is great, it's gross, it's horrific, and it follows all the same principles as the Demon engines that came before it, which again, kind of an issue for the Defiler at this stage. Like, you could scale this thing up. You could make it so that the big bulbous body at the back there hung further back It had an actual torso, maybe more kind of Soul Grinder-esque, and that would look far more in line with the rest of the stuff than the Defiler currently does. And it's not just that, like, it's not just that in terms of the new ones. We also have the Vex Machinator with this crazy, partially organic, curve-armoured, like, mount. So, even this, you've got a similar idea in terms of the structure of the legs and that tail. It looks organic, even though it is mostly, this one in fairness, is mostly mechanical. Like, you look at the face, and it has got fangs, and it has got flesh and weird organic things dripping from it. But the body itself is pretty much mechanical. In fact, it's got a very similar body to the Mauler Fiend, just a lot smaller. As you can see underneath there, it's got the same lines coming up across the chest. It is, in fact, a really nice middle ground, in my opinion, between the Venom Crawler, the Hellbrute, the Mauler Fiend, and the Helldrake. It's kind of got elements from all of those on it, which works super well, and once again emphasises just how different all of those are to this. This is, I think, a model that just really needs being brought in line with the rest of the Chaos Space Marine stuff. You don't need to change the Rhino. You don't need to change the Predator. You don't need to change the Land Raider. You don't need to change the Vindicator. Those can all stay because they are classic holdovers of when they were loyalist Space Marines. Those are pieces of gear that have made the journey with them for thousands of years, and they have managed to keep them running, and they are a core part of what Space Marines are. Even Traitor Space Marines, even Chaos Space Marines, they rely on these like workhorses of the Legions. Then they've split off, they've followed Chaos, they've started tinkering with all sorts of mad stuff, and from it we have a bunch of really interesting, like organic looking constructs with armour that's curved and sinew and muscle poking out and wrapping around all the mechanical parts. And then in the middle of all of that, in that in-between stage, we got this, which is a bunch of pistons attached to metal and a cannon in the middle of a box, and that's pretty much it. It doesn't match what came before, and it doesn't match what has come after. It stands out in a really weird way as being completely incongruous with all of the holdovers from when they were loyalists and all of the stuff that they did after that in terms of the creations they've made as traitors. I'd really like to see the Defiler updated. I'd really like to see a version that is closer to the Vex Machinator, that is closer to the Venom Crawler, that has more in the way of that muscle and flesh that you see on the Hellbrute and on the Mauler Fiend. I mean, these legs, like close to these legs, but with all those like pistons and muscles, that would look great. The torso being less of just a box with a couple of sockets on it and a big gun sticking out, being closer to something like this, that would look fantastic. If the armour was more curved and spiked and just more aggressive, like you find on the Vex Machinator, that would be absolutely brilliant. I loved the Defiler at the time. At the time it was different and it was unique and there was nothing quite like it. But now there are quite a few things that are kind of like it in terms of the overall concept, but the execution is just superior. It just looks better. The idea might have been similar, but the way it's been implemented and the way that it's been constructed just looks nicer. It just feels better. And I really would like this as like a proper mainstay of the Chaos Space Marines at this point. It's been around for so long to have that kind of treatment and receive the kind of glow up that would make it not look out of place amongst all these other demon engines. I would love for that to happen. Whether it will is another matter entirely. We have seen a rumour engine a while ago, or a little preview that had some sort of exhaust stack that could either have been another Chaos Knight, or, and I'm kind of more hoping for this, could have perhaps been a newer Defiler. I would love to see it, I just don't know how likely it is, but it's high up on the wish list for me personally. Anyway, what do you reckon of this model? Do you reckon it's dated? Do you think it looks fine? Do you think actually it has its place and it's perfectly serviceable how it is? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon, video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click if you don't want to. And as always, there's an affiliate link in the description for Element Games, which you can use to support the channel if you are in the UK or Europe. However, if you're in the US, there is an affiliate link for Noble Knight Games, which you can use instead. Either way, I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.